All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to deconstruct the hidden rules inside some really complex legal and financial systems. And by the end of this, you'll have a powerful new way of looking at them that goes way beyond just the surface level stuff.
So let me ask you this. When you look at something like tax law, you just see a bunch of rules, or do you see a whole complex system? According to the experts, how you answer that is everything. Because just following the rules isn't only not enough, it can be downright dangerous. The real power comes from seeing the entire system at play.
So what's the real difference here? Well, if you're just following rules, you're playing defense. You're being reactive, waiting for things to happen. And that leaves you totally vulnerable to hidden traps you never even saw coming. But when you start navigating a system, that is a whole different ballgame. You're proactive, you're strategic, and suddenly you're empowered to see what's coming and maybe even find opportunities.
So here's how we're going to build that mindset today. We'll start by understanding the hidden system. Then we'll dive into the critical role of intent and find the system's incentives. After that, we'll look at the high cost of getting things wrong. And finally, we'll bring it all together with a solid framework for action.
Okay, let's dive in. The first and honestly the most important step is just recognizing that these systems have layers. What's written down on paper, that's just the start. There's a whole hidden system of unwritten rules, subjective opinions, and priorities that are always changing. This table really nails the difference. The surface view, it's just a checklist. You fill out a form, you hit a deadline, you hope for the best. But the expert view, they see the whole interconnected web. For instance, in some cases, you can check every single box on an application, but then you hit a secret second step, a subjective review called a final merits determination. That's an official deciding if your case feels strong enough. That's the hidden system in action. And that leads us right into our next big point, intent. In these systems, it is not enough to just look at what you did. They are obsessed with why you did it. Your intent is constantly under a giant microscope, and people are trained to question it aggressively. A perfect example of this is the idea of preconceived intent. You know, someone comes into a country on a tourist visa and then bam, the next day they file for permanent status. You better believe the authorities are going to look at that and say, hang on, was this the plan all along? Every little action gets scrutinized. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The timeline is the whole thing. It's so true. Your actions create a story over time, and that sequence of events, that timeline, becomes the #1 piece of evidence they use to figure out what you were really thinking, whether it's for immigration or a tax audit. Now, this isn't all about avoiding punishment. Not at all. These systems are also designed with some really powerful incentives to actually encourage you to do certain things that line up with the government's goals. I mean, just look at the tax code. We think it's just for collecting money, but it's one of the biggest tools the government has to shape the economy. It's basically a giant system of rewards designed to get people and businesses to do things they want them to do. Let's take real estate as an example. The government has a goal. We need more housing. So they create a tool. Huge tax deductions for investors who own rental properties. The result? Investors are incentivized to buy property and rent it out. So more housing gets created and those investors can get tax breaks so big they might not owe any tax at all. It's a win-win by design. And you see the exact same logic over in the immigration system. There are special visas that basically trade a path to residency for a big investment that creates jobs. The tax system uses deductions to encourage investment, and the immigration system uses visas. It's the same fundamental idea. Reward the behavior you want to see. So we've talked about the rewards, but what about the other side of the coin? If you misunderstand the system or make a mistake, the consequences can be severe and they can escalate fast. And we're not just talking about a small fine here. We're talking about the potential to lose everything. Take a look at this number, $32 million. That was the reported tax debt for one celebrity. And it didn't just end with a bill.
It ended with the government seizing property and selling it at auction. And this escalation often follows a predictable path. In the tax world, it can go from unpaid taxes to a notice to a legal claim on your property, and finally to straight-up asset seizure. For immigration, a visa overstay can spiral into a court date, then detention, and even removal. A simple paperwork issue can become completely life-altering.
You know, the scary part is how quietly it can start. The government just establishes a legal claim against your stuff. It's called a lien. It attaches to your house, your car, your bank accounts. It's the legal groundwork for everything that comes next. And if that debt still doesn't get paid after the lien is in place, well, that's when the legal claim becomes physical. As we've seen in some of those celebrity cases with their fancy cars, authorities can literally show up, take your assets, and sell them to the highest bidder. So after all that, the big question is, how do you put this all together? How do you actually use this information? Well, here is a practical framework to get you thinking like an expert navigator instead of just a rule follower. Think of this as your new mental checklist. First, always analyze your timeline. It's the story that proves your intent. Second, hunt for the incentives. Ask, what does this rule want me to do? And find the reward. Third, map out the worst case scenario. Know exactly what can happen if things go wrong. Fourth, remember the difference between the written rules and the hidden, subjective process. And finally, treat your documents like they're gold. They are your primary defense. At the end of the day, the biggest takeaway is this. These systems demand you pay attention. You can't just hope for the best. That's not a strategy. As this quote says, these stories are cautionary tales. It's a complex game, and the consequences are very, very real. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. The next time you're dealing with a complex system, what's the one non-obvious detail you should look for? What's the one hidden variable or unwritten rule that could be the real key to the whole thing? Because finding that, well, that's where the real work begins.